Hello, everybody. Thank you for being here. This is Zachary Reality, and you are listening to Zachary Reality. Hello, everybody. We are here with Joey. How are you doing? Oh my God.
I'm good. I've watched all your videos, so to be here is a dream. I'm excited.
Yeah,
I'm
well,
excited to dive in.
we've been following each other for a while. I followed you just because you're so happy and positive and gay, and it's just like really a fun follow. So now that you're on a reality show, I was all about it.
And you get to see that more in the show too. And like I said, like I think you're like the best top reviewer for like the housewives. Like I always go to you for all the info and all the tea, like if I miss an episode or whatever. So I'm really, really excited to talk to you and talk
Yeah.
more about the show, you know?
Yeah, 100%. I feel like there's already been a lot of questions online, a little bit of backlash, which we will get into as well. But I'm all about it because I'm totally here for this like gay housewives type of show. And I'm excited about it. So, congratulations. The Real Friends of
Thank you.
Weho is now on MTV. You guys can watch it Friday nights. I have to ask a little bit about what you were doing before the show, as far as like influencing and how you got into that space.
Well, before influencing, I worked in PR. So I had a normal 9 to 5. I was at Givenchy, then Tommy Hilfiger. And then I
Ooh.
was kind of doing it on the side. And then I kind of got the opportunity to do it full time. And I was like, I'm just going to take a risk. And that's, what life is about, stepping outside the box. And that's why the inspiration videos kind of came about. And then it kind of turned into a full-fledged business. And then I signed with my first agency, big agency, like 3 years ago. And it's kind of been that ever since. And TV for me has always been, a something I wanted to dive into and pivot into. So for me, it's a dream come true. And like I think this is the exact type of show that, it's very Joey. It's very like something I've always wanted to be a part of.
Yeah, that's so awesome. So you're doing fashion PR, then you get into influencing. Now you're on this reality show and you're called the influencer, which got a little bit of heat
Well,
from
unemployed to
Dorion.
Dorian.
Okay, yeah, and I was just like, no, no, no. Content creators work so hard. Was that frustrating hearing him say that?
Well, first of all, like when you own a skincare brand to talk about influencers and how you don't want influencers, to me, I'm just like, well, most
Hello.
of my brand deals are skincare deals.
Mm.
So for me, I'm like, I think you see more of what happens on this week's episode, but like, girl, like you don't talk about hating influencers and how we're unemployed. That's such old news. Like there's some influencers that don't do the most, but like I'm a full-fledged working full-time influencer and you get to see it as the season goes on. Like the behind the scenes of what I'm really doing. Me with my assistant, me with my manager. You see a special project I've been working on for a very long time come to fruition. So for me, I'm just like, that's just such a like old take. It's like old news. But for me, I'm like, you must have had some underlying feelings about me. It can't just be that you don't like influencers because you own a successful skincare brand.
Yeah, he's gonna need influencers to promote his skincare brand, and he's on this show just like you, just like everyone that goes on to reality TV is to promote their businesses and their brands. I mean, that's kind of the point of it. So we'll see the storyline play out a bit. But I
For
wanted to
sure.
ask about the title, the Real Friends of Weho. So are you from New York? Like, when did you move to LA, and how has that transition been?
Yeah, so people don't know that like I've lived in New York because a lot of I see some of the backlash when people are talking about the differences between New York and LA and like I lived in New York for 8 years and I moved
Hmm.
here 2.5 years ago and I just bought a house in West Hollywood. If you can do New York, LA is like a breeze. Like like New York is tough. It's where you get your work ethic. It's where you get your grit. And then LA is kind of like you can kind of weed out the crazies and the uglies when you get here because the people that are working hard and that's where the influencer thing comes in too because there's a
Hmm.
lot of like smoke and mirrors with influencers, specifically in LA. New York influencers are like a lot
Different.
different.
Yeah, I'm actually from New York. I grew up in Long Island, so I've been here 3.5 years.
We love a Long Island queen.
Yeah,
I'm
we really
obsessed.
do. How did you meet your fiance Brian? I would love to learn about your relationship because he's so private and you're so out there. So how does that kind of work? And will we see him a lot on the show this season?
Everyone, my DMs are crazy about Brian, like because I
Right?
think the little glimpse of him you get the first episode, people don't realize that he was a big part of the season, and like you get to see a lot of our relationship because like we're also in the middle before we started filming. This is like happening in real time, so
Mhm.
bring cameras in and like we're talking about like like there's a lot going on. That's a lot. Like we met on Instagram right before the pandemic, and then we kind of moved in with each other like 5 months
Wow.
after because the pandemic happened. So it all happened very quick. And now here we are, cut to owning a house, about to get married, engaged on a reality show. So it's a lot, but you see a lot of him. And for him to
Really?
do the show, I have to be honest, was a big undertaking. You learn a little bit about his career, but so far you haven't really learned that yet. So he just doing it, like he was so excited for me because he knows that this was a big deal for me. And that's a supportive husband. That's a
Hmm.
supportive fiance. Um, so him doing the show was a big thing. And we talk about it off camera. Like I just tell him how much I appreciate him believing in me and doing the show with me because you'll get to know him a lot more. And like he's just like the best guy. So I hope people think that too, because a lot of people are so curious. Like I feels like a lot of people want more of Brian on screen. So you
Yeah.
get to see a lot more of him.
Yeah, I definitely want to see just like true love, just like gay love on TV. We don't really get that a lot on other shows, especially like dating shows. So I'm excited to dive into your relationship and maybe some of the other ones. He decided to propose to you with a watch. Can you talk to us a little bit about what that symbolizes for you guys and why it wasn't a ring?
So this is funny because we were in the Hamptons like 2 years ago and we were just walking around. We went to a jewelry store and I was like, this has always been my dream watch. I was like, if we ever get engaged, like I just want this exact watch. One time
Okay.
I said that it was like a passing by comment. And cut to when he proposed to me, it was the same exact watch that I saw in the store that day, which is a very hard to find watch. And for me, that's just like things in my life have kind of like worked out the way that I've kind of like visioned them. So for me, the watch was kind of like, holy shit, this is like the next step in my career. Like I have a great guy for once after many toxic relationships.
Hmm.
And this watch is something that like every time I look at it or every time I see it, I just think of like that day and that special night between us. And it just symbolizes our love and like it's stronger than just like a material thing. Plus,
Yeah.
Brian's very into like investments, and the watch at the end of the day is it's an investment because it grows value over time. So
Oh, cool.
it's a win-win, honey.
Yeah, and when is the wedding and how do I get on that invite list?
Well, you're gonna have to ask MTV. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, season two?
But you will be there when the wedding happens. We discussed that a lot throughout the season. You have to watch the rest of the season because it's kind of like a real battle of like win, no, but I think towards the end of the season we finally have like some sort of resolution as to
Okay.
like what we can both agree on because we have different ideas. We're also renovating a house, bitch. Like there's a
Okay.
lot going on and we want to find out the perfect time to do the wedding that makes sense. And it's just very me and Brian. Very fun and specific. And we just want to make sure it's like perfect.
Yeah, and hopefully it goes a little bit better than the engagement party, which we saw on the premiere. Now we have got to get into the show and some of the noise online because I have some burning questions for you. I first have to know how long ago was this show filmed? And you said you were all about it, right? So there was no hesitations.
There was a little hesitation, I think, but not really. I have to be honest. I was just
Yeah.
excited for the premise, and the people that I had talked to before were just great people. The best thing about this show was just like everyone that we got to work with. Like it was just great people, but there was hesitation. Like, listen, you're taking six gay guys that you know from literally 6 degrees of separation. The first
Hmm.
episode title was not, that's true. Like,
Hmm.
but for me, it was also an opportunity to dust off some of those friendships. Doing it on camera is a whole different scenario, and you get to see that too. But for me, it was like, Brad, for instance, like he's always someone that I kind of wanted to be closer to. And there was a lot going on with that friendship. So, obviously some people kind of talk to me about Todrick and
Hmm.
but I'm like one of those people who always wants to give people the benefit of the doubt to
For
get to know them
sure.
better. So that's what it was for me. I was like, fuck it, like what do I have to lose? Life is too short. And I think that anyone that gets the opportunity to be a part of such an amazing show that does have so much great representation, I
Hmm.
think that we got to celebrate that. I'm still so proud of the show and I'm still so proud of, I still feel the same way I did the day I signed up for it. No regrets.
Yeah, I was saying on my TikTok that I felt like Brad was like the Kyle Richards of the show, like holding down the fort. I kind of feel like Todrick is the Lisa Rinna, maybe. Which housewife would you be?
I think I'm a little Rinna and a little like Kyle, like mixed together, maybe a little Erica Jane, because there's
Ooh,
like two sides of Joey, which you'll also get to see more. Like people don't realize the first episode was just like more getting to know us and just
yeah.
like a little snippet. And now we really dive into like us and our real lives. And I think people might have had opinions about like what it was the first episode. But if you look, everyone that saw the first episode really loved it. I hope you loved it too. So, I think I'm a little bit of a Rinna, Erica Jane, and Kyle all mixed together. What would you say? Who would you say I was? Because you're the pro.
Yeah, I am. And I feel like you have to be more of a Dorit. Super
I
into
love that. I will take that.
fashion.
I
Like,
will take that.
because I feel like Rinna is stirring the pot, and I know you're going to get into some drama this season. You already have been, but I don't think you're going to be like overly messy like we would expect from Todrick or even Dorian, who I feel like is kind of messy too, but he's like the resistant one.
Well, first of all, I love, Todrick and I have become such good friends. We talked for an hour. I actually talked to every single castmate yesterday, just like fun, nice
Okay.
conversation. Like we all talk so often, except for Dorian, because he
Hmm.
won't be at the wedding. But
Gotcha.
we all have this like relationship, and you have to realize that people that want to talk about the show, by the way, everyone that's talking about the show hasn't seen the show. I'm going to dinner with Brad and Curtis tomorrow night. Like we've become like so fucking tight, and you only get to see that trajectory. It's such a beautiful thing. So like I don't really understand the backlash of like, well, some of them were friends. We all kind of
Yeah.
were. And second of all, like you get to see relationships flourish. Like throughout the season, which is like I think the best part of watching a television show.
It's like that with a lot of reality TV shows. Like everyone meets for the first time. Jersey Shore, they met for the first time. Now they're a family. Even the Housewives. But this show is getting a lot of backlash. I think just because the gays are so brutal. My review I did on it, I got so much backlash, and I'm like, I'm not even on the show. Leave me alone. Let me be excited for a gay show. So, what do you like have to say to those people? Are they just not giving it a chance? And why do we think the gays are so catty?
I want everyone to just give it a chance. And I think, I try and not look and I'm a very positive person. My presence online is
Hmm.
just positivity. And like, even for my castmates and me, it's like, I'm still so proud of the show. So I can't focus on anyone saying
For
negative
sure.
things, especially people that haven't watched the show. But like, more and more every day, like there's all these positive, amazing, reviews and people talking about it now in a positive light. And those are the people that have watched the show. So, like, to everyone, I just want everyone to give it a chance because it's such a beautiful show with like real stories and it's so authentic to all of us. For me personally, like, I put myself out there, honey, and like, you only got a small glimpse of it the first episode. So, for me, like, I hope everyone, even listening now, just decides to turn it on and watch. And especially the next episode this Friday is like so pivotal. And I grew so much from the show. And to get people and to let people in on that growth is just such an amazing thing. It was like therapy real quick. So it's like
Hmm.
getting a peek behind that door of like what therapy would be. It's like therapy for Joey. I needed
Yeah,
it. Like
I love
you
that.
see a lot of growth and I think it'll be cool for people to watch, but I try and not pay attention to the negativity because I'm just not that person.
Hmm.
And anyone that's really talking about it online is really just
Bringing more light to it, bringing more publicity to it for people to watch.
yeah, and like, where are they? Like, I think the representation thing is really sad because we should be celebrating anyone that makes their dreams come true. And for me, this is a dream come true. So we
Yeah.
should be celebrating that. If anyone else got a show and I saw online, I would never think to like tear them down.
For sure. I agree with that. And I also think that some people were just giving backlash, I think, because they wanted more representation in the LGBTQ community. So I think, if anything, this show will just propel that further in the future for more diversity in this community. I think they were just frustrated because it's like WeHo, and maybe you guys don't all live in West Hollywood. I know James lives in Palm Springs,
We
but
all
like,
hang out there though. That's
yeah.
the thing. That's what people
Hmm.
don't get. No one says the real friends of WeHo who live in WeHo.
Yeah.
But we're filming all around WeHo. I stay in WeHo, honey. Like
I know you
I
do.
live in WeHo. I stay like I never really go out of that vicinity. Same with me, Brad and Curtis. Like we're always there. James, even though he doesn't like technically live in WeHo, like when we go out, we're meeting for lunch, dinner, whatever in WeHo. So for me, that doesn't make sense. Also, another thing I want to say is just like, this show, you're never going to have a show that's going to be every single checking every box, but this is the start to what could be something that has every representation on different shows, different cities. So the more people are hating on it online, the less there's not going to be a chance for the rest of the community to get a
Hmm.
platform like this for their own cities or for their own groups that they have. So it's like
Yeah.
even for like you, like if you ever want to be a part of the show like this, like if people keep pushing this down and try to like make these like people don't realize that the more they're trying to like get people to not watch it, if this doesn't do good, there's
Yeah.
no opportunity for anybody else.
Yeah, and I know that MTV and RuPaul's Drag Race said that they wanted to have this show to show more LGBTQ stories in a different light, which is why they're airing this right back after RuPaul. Are you a big fan of RuPaul's Drag Race? Are you watching the season? Do
I
you have a
love
favorite?
I've loved RuPaul
Oh,
since
cool.
season one, and I've always loved Ru. And Shangela actually gave me really good advice before the show came out. She's like, "Girl, people are gonna come for you, like X, Y, and Z." And like for me, like just hearing her tell me that, and like those words of wisdom, and just like you can't worry about it. And she has the same take on it that I do.
Hmm.
Like this is a big door opening for the whole community. And RuPaul's Drag Race is always going to be there because it's such a major show and it shows such a big part of our community. And then leading us into a whole nother part of our community.
Hmm.
These are the building blocks of what could be something, major for the whole community, not just our representation, our group of
Yeah,
friends.
for
So many
sure.
different versions of it. We want that.
Yeah. And I think we saw so far that Curtis is the one who's like opening up about his sexuality. And we're kind of hearing him with that story where he wasn't super comfortable. Is this show going to be a lot of overcoming obstacles that LGBTQ people face, that gay people face? Is it going to be a
Like
lot of
chills.
drama? Is it like a mix of emotion and drama?
I literally have chills because there's so much heart to this show. And,
Mm,
you get, like I said, the first episode, you get like the tiniest glimpse of everyone's, even Curtis's story, which, what can throughout this, you just have to like, I want to like cry because,
yeah.
especially Curtis's story throughout the season, you haven't seen anything yet. But
Hmm.
like someone working that out on television for real, um, it made us all closer, but also it's just like you can't duplicate. You have to know that like that's such a special story to share for the world to see, and it's beautiful. And like to be a part of it was just an amazing thing. It was like such a journey. So like the show encompasses all of that. And of course, there's a little bit of drama because it's six gay guys together getting to know
Yeah.
each other, but also letting ourselves be working through real shit that the gay community goes through every day
Yeah.
and being able to see it. And like my hope for the show is just that like in general, the little Bobby in Nebraska or someone like
Uh-huh.
I never had someone to look up to on TV. So I would hope that sharing these stories and being vulnerable, like we've all been on the show, can help people.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. And I think I, as a fan, definitely want like a little bit of a mix. I do want that side of it, which you just explained, but I also do want it to be entertaining and show that gay people can just like exist and have fun and be friends. Is there one guy that you think could have been cast who's like a socialite in WeHo that wasn't? Because I think Shangela would have been great too.
I love Shangela. This is the start. So I think for
Hmm.
the first time show like this and in this world, in this time in the world, I think this is just the start. So I do think that the casting was on point, and I think you'll get to know that as we go. Like you have to realize like the person and the people that work their asses off to get this show. It's not easy for a show to go to air nowadays. People
Hmm.
don't get that. It has to be pilot, casted, whatever. Then it
Yeah.
takes so long to get there. So the fact that we have this platform already and people are trying to tear it down doesn't make sense, because to get another show on the air like this is so it gives the opportunity for the next casting round and for the next city to give better representation even more. So I think this is such a solid start with the people that we have, and the cast has just been like a joy. Minus
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there was a rumor flying around that there was one person cast for the show, but apparently some people didn't want to film with him because he had an OnlyFans. Could you clear that up, or do you have anything to say about that?
I can't clear it up because I just think that, when before we were filming, MTV doesn't give us like, this is the exact cast. We have
Mhm.
hearing, like we hear like who might be a part of the cast, might be, but think about it. I can't be like, I won't film with that person or I'm not going to film.
Yeah.
Like, that's not the way it works. So that's a rumor. I think, none of us were in a position to be like, we'll definitely not film with that person. By the way, like I'm an influencer, I have an untraditional, like people would have loved to see that. So but I don't think it's to blame on the cast. I think it's just like there's always other internal things that you don't know what's going on. But
Yeah.
also, none of us knew the exact 100% cast before we started filming with each other.
Gotcha. That's awesome. And are you guys going to be going on any trips this season? Like, how much is it like Real Housewives, and how are you
We
guys
have a
making it your
trip.
own? Oh, where are
We
you
have
guys
a trip.
going? Can you say?
I can't say yet,
Okay.
but it's a really good place. A lot happens on this trip, and it's very transformational for all of us. And this trip was probably the thing that really brings the whole like season together. And I have a very big moment
Ooh.
that is something really stepping outside my comfort zone and doing something I'm like, just uncomfortable with, and you'll see it. But a lot happens when we're there. You might get glimpses of it in this episode this Friday. We might start talking about it in the next few episodes, but it's a fun ass trip, honey. A lot happens.
Cute. So how many episodes are we talking, and will there be a reunion?
I'm not sure exactly how many episodes, but you will have to wait and see. And reunion, I hope they do a reunion,
Me
but
too.
I think there's a lot to discuss, especially with all the outside noise. So for me, it would be great to do something where we could all like have the platform to kind of talk about that. I think it'd be smart for the network to do something like that and to set up all of us just kind of going over like all of this talk and this backlash and like what happened throughout the season because we still all there's a lot of things going on now with the shows
Yeah.
between the cast, and I'll just say that there's a lot
Yeah.
of texting and
For
you can see
sure.
who follows who. Like it's a lot. There's a lot going on.
So there might be some drama between certain people on the show right now, which I guess
There's
we'll
still a
see.
lot going on.
And who's going to host this reunion? Andy Cohen, Karamo, Zachary Reality. What are we
Zachary, you're the
thinking?
best in the business, so maybe it'll be Zachary Reality.
Exactly.
Maybe
I'm
you
ready.
should host that. Would you host a reunion?
Yes, I think I want to host reunions of reality shows or host reality shows. I think that's like one of the goals I had when I started making reality TV content.
I think that you should. I'm going to put you up for the job because I'm always for, I think you deserve it.
Thank
So I'm going
you.
to put you up for the job. I've seen a lot on Twitter about people starting to watch the show, and now the Twitter conversation is about like the first episode, which is exciting for me because when you watch the show, there's a lot to discuss. So like
Yeah.
people are talking about now, we need a reunion already. We want to know what's happening between, so I hope we do it. And I hope you're the host.
Okay, fingers crossed. It's all happening. As we kind of wrap this up, I want to know what you're working on outside of the show, and then what is kind of like your storyline that we'll see throughout. Like, how are we going to see Joey in a different light than on TikTok?
You see Joey in a very vulnerable state. You see Joey, like, I really went on to this just for like promising myself that when I went on the show, there wasn't going to be like anything for TV or whatever. So I went on full fledged Joey. Joey can be a scary place though, honey. Like, I'm a lot. I have a big personality. I learned so much about myself throughout the season, but I think you see a lot of growth, hopefully. But I think you also see, my more insecure side throughout the season. And I open up about a lot of insecurities that, nobody has any idea. My audience online, it's really the videos that I would use talking to myself that I give to my audience. So I think people will be very surprised to see a very insecure side of me, but opening up and like really leaning on my group of friends that I filmed with for the show to help me through that. And I don't think I would be able to do it with a different cast. Like that's why I
Mm-hmm.
think the cast was so good because the way that my friends on the show were there for me while we were filming, that you get to see is like even tomorrow, even Friday's episode, like the friend that comes to my defense to my side is someone I don't think people will expect to come to my side. So I think, yeah, that's why we all have this special bond because I need a lot of support throughout the season, honey. And they gave
Yeah,
it.
that's so cool. Well, I'm honestly so happy for you. I've loved you for so long. I know you support me too, so I'm just over the moon. I cannot wait to keep watching the show. Where can everybody follow you, and where can they tune in to watch the Real Friends of WeHo?
You can follow me on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. It's at Joey Zauzig. To watch The Real Friends of Weho, you go to the MTV app. It's on MTV every Friday at 9 p.m. And you can also find it on YouTube now, the MTV reality page. You can find it. You can find it everywhere. Just go to your Apple TV and search The Real Friends of Weho, and it will show. I hope everyone likes it. This week's episode, gear up and giddy up, honey, because it is. We really dive into everything this week.
Awesome. Cannot wait. Everyone, make sure to follow Joey and check out The Real Friends of WeHo. And thank you all so much for listening to this podcast. Whether you listened on Spotify or you watched on YouTube, be sure to rate, review, give it a thumbs up, and let us know your thoughts on The Real Friends of WeHo in the comments below. Thank you, Joey, and we will see you guys later.
Thank you,
Bye.
Zach. Love you. Mwah.
Love you too.